Letter of discrimination to Mount Rainier's mayor. Dear Mayor Selena Benitez, I hope this letter finds you at a good time. Before going forward, you should first know that I would have preferred to go through the right chain of command and not go over anyone to get to you. However, me being closed has been going on way too long and I believe I'm being treated unjustly. It's now been over 6 months since the closing of both of my businesses, 3403A FOB Renovations and 3403B Brewtainer. I believe I was treated unjustly and only the U&O for my event space. Brewtainer should have been closed and I should have at least been able to operate under my other U&O for the salon. FOB Renovations was also closed and a right explanation was not given to why. This caused me to lose all my employees and numerous contracts for my renovations company. In April, when the shop, 3403B Brewtainer, was raided, I was unaware of the type of illegal event, pop-up, that was taking place and I was not at the property at the time the event was being held. Before my establishment was raided, I've reached out to the chief of Mount Rainier to have a meeting via email with no success. Only time I was able to sit down with the chief was because of ongoing calls being made by one of my harassing neighbor, Ryan Humphrey. My neighbor has called the Mount Rainier Police Department on me the majority of the time I have an event, over 20 calls. His complaint has been loud music and trash debris. Every time an officer was sent out for loud music, there was no evidence of loud music or trash debris. And this is why I emailed the chief of police, Linwood Alston, numerous times asking for a sit-down but was not successful. I eventually took the neighbor to court for a peace order. I tried to explain to the judge this neighbor not only make calls to the city but he's always roaming around my establishment when I have events in progress. The judge recommended that I take him to court for lost wages because it's a civil matter and did not upheld a stay-away order. Our hearing was held in June with nuisance and abatement with me, Ryan Humphrey, County's Code Enforcement G. Berjarno, City of Mount Rainier Code Enforcement, Detective David Calloway, my attorney Courtney Bryson and a few others on the board. After cross-examining all the code enforcement officers and officers detective of loud music or trash debris ever found when called out to my establishment and they all said no. Ryan Humphrey was also asked by me of evidence of trash debris through pictures or videos and he could not provide any evidence. After the hearing, I was still found at fault because of Ryan Humphrey's statements, although he could not provide any evidence to his claims. After the hearing, I paid the fines immediately and couldn't reopen because of wrong information being handed down by nuisance and abatement on how to reopen. To their understanding, I was only allowed 6 people in my establishment, which was incorrect on their end. After letting them know I have 2 entities and 2 separate address, 3403A FOB Renovations and 3403B Brewtainer, we were able to make the corrections. After correcting what they did, a meeting was set with me, DPIE and the City of Mount Rainier's Code Enforcement at 3403A Perry Street, Mount Rainier, MD, 20712. During the meeting, I had to sit back and have the City of Mount Rainier attempt to talk me out of having my event space instead of helping me with the neighbor that's harassing me. I followed all the legal steps to have events and feel discriminated against since there's event spaces in the area that came after me, including an event space that the City of Mount Rainier helped with opening. During our meeting at the 3403A, DPIE's Code Enforcement said the City of Mount Rainier need to issue my business license back since it's been revoked in order to move forward in opening. Alma Ferrafino, Compliance Director Alma Ferrafino, told me it's out of the hands of Code Enforcement and it will now be handed off to Mount Rainier's mayor and the city's attorney. I was told that this shouldn't take long and they would get right back to me. It's now been over a month with no updates on opening. As a woman and being a minority, you should know how it feels to be discriminated against or at least have knowledge of these things happening. I have 5 kids, which 3 of them worked at the salon, Brewtainer, and they all shouldn't have to lose their jobs for 6 months. I've also paid over $20,000 in rent since the closing of both businesses and I've gave more than one reason to be impatient at this time. I'm asking that you please look into end this matter so I can reopen sooner than later. Thank you.
Any shit trying to be on my